Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making this show a part of your day. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. You had a good Halloween, and your Novembers are off to a good start. Coming up here on the show, what if I told you that the Eagles got a bunch of great news and big news, and they didn't even have to play today because today and this week was their Week 9 bye. And obviously, it's always a win for fans when you can do some fall festivities and you can sit back, relax, watch football, and have a stress-free Sunday. Before we dive into everything that's coming up, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because if you're not subscribed, you ain't alive. Hit that sub button for daily coverage of the E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles, and I'm always bringing the heat here on the show. So the Eagles, of course, did not play today. They picked up back-to-back big wins over the Minnesota Vikings, over the New York Giants going into their bye, and despite not playing a game today, they have moved into the number 1 seed in the NFC. Why is that? Well, it's because a couple of teams did them a lot of favors. The Green Bay Packers lost at home to the Carolina Panthers, and the Detroit Lions lost at home to J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. And so going into Sunday Night Football, this is how things are situated inside the NFC right now. The Eagles, 6-2. 2-1 in the division, 5-1 in the conference. That's huge. That can end up doing them a lot of benefits when the playoffs come around. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2 seed now, 6-2, 2-0 in the division, 4-2 inside the conference. The Seattle Seahawks, again, going into Sunday night, they play the Commanders here this evening, 5-2, 1-1 in the division, 2-2 in the conference. The Green Bay Packers entered today number 1 seed in the NFC. They have now dropped to number 4 at 5-2-1. They are 3-1-1 inside the conference. Rams 5-2, and then the Niners 6 seed at 6-3. And so obviously things are very closely contested inside the NFC, but with the Packers losing and with the Lions losing, the Eagles rise up from the 2 seed to the number 1 seed. And I'll tell you what, that Packers game, very weird loss as they lose on a game-winning field goal to the Carolina Panthers. I was looking at the numbers for this game. Green Bay had more first downs. They had 13 passing first downs to 6 for Carolina. They were 7 of 13 on third down, Carolina 4 of 10. 2 of 3 on fourth down, Carolina 2 of 2. They ran 63 plays, the Panthers ran 54. They outgained Carolina 369 to 265. Both teams had 7 drives. Yards per play, Packers had the edge there. They outthrew Carolina, 265 yards to 102. As Bryce Young was like 11 of 20 in this game. Yards per pass, 7 to 4.9. The Panthers outran Green Bay, 163 to 104. But Packers won time of possession. They did turn it over twice to the Panthers' 1 turnover. But just a weird, wild, and wonky game between Green Bay and Carolina. Now, obviously, Rams, Saints, they're playing this afternoon. Seahawks, Commanders, they play tonight. But depending on what happens with that Rams-Saints game, and regardless of what happens in that game, Eagles are still going to be in that number 1 spot. And regardless of what happens between Washington and Seattle, Eagles are going to be in that number 1 spot because they have the better conference record than Seattle, and they have the better conference record than the Rams, and they beat the Rams head-to-head. And obviously, with the Eagles and Bucks both being 6-2, Eagles have the edge because they won the head-to-head against Tampa Bay. Now, in that Packers-Panthers game, Tucker Kraft, who I really liked a couple of years ago, and this year was becoming one of the best tight ends in all of football, He suffered a season-ending torn ACL. Sucks for him. Sucks for this Packers offense. He was really putting together an awesome season. He's such a special player, but of course, he's going to be out against Philadelphia next week. So arguably Jordan Love's best weapon in the pass game, going to be out against Philadelphia. That's big news for the Eagles too. And so you think about where the Eagles are at during their bye week, coming out of the bye. A.J. Brown's going to get healthier. Cam Jurgens going to get healthier. Saquon Barkley going to get healthier. So too is Nolan Smith, Jakorian Bennett, and Jalen Carter. The rest of the team getting a good rest at the halfway point of the year. Vic Fangio now has two more players to work with, Micahel Carter, slot corner, and Jaire Alexander, who the Eagles traded for on Saturday. And I think the Eagles are going to make another move for a pass rusher potentially. So Howie, he's in the bunker, he's in the lab, and he's ready to push all those chips in the middle of the table, put his nuts on the table and say, you know what, F it, we're going for it. And he can make another splash move. So the Eagles have gotten it pretty good this weekend. Who has it better than the Birds? Nobody across the NFC at least. And I know a lot of people will say, well, Chase, now we're getting the Green Bay Packers coming off a loss are going to be an angry, motivated team. They just lost to an NFC team in Carolina. And the Panthers right now, 5-4? Sneakily? They're having a pretty good year. Yeah, 5-4. Bryce Young was awful. But the Packers lost to an NFC team. So now the Eagles can go into Lambeau. You know a lot of Eagles fans are going to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You can beat them, really take care of business, and grab the NFC by the neck in what has been a wide-open conference. And as far as the Packers go, they're a good team. The highs have been high. The lows have been low. The best way to characterize and describe them, as I'm also watching Bills Chiefs right now here to my left in the studio, they are a bipolar football team. You don't know what they're going to look like any given week. You don't know what Jordan Love is going to do week to week. Last week against Pittsburgh, what did he complete? Like 20 straight passes? In this game, he threw one pick and should have thrown another one on an awful play where he threw it right to the DB in the end zone who dropped it. I'm not really worried about Green Bay if the Eagles are playing their best ball. Lions, if we're talking about the NFC landscape, I think you worry about them a little bit. But give me Jared Goff at a cold link in South Philly in January. Eagles will play the Lions after the Packers game. So a couple of really difficult games coming up for the Birds on the road against the Packers. Short week, Sunday night against Detroit. But this is an opportunity for Philadelphia that is right in front of them for them to really control their own destiny in the NFC. If home field advantage goes through the Eagles, through Lincoln Financial Field in January, difficult place to play. You get that first round bye. You'd love that. Then you're one game away automatically from the NFC Championship game. And the Eagles at home in NFC Championship games, they've been great of late. Since 2004, really. Across the division, Giants lose badly against the Niners. They were dominated, and Niner fans took over MetLife Stadium. Jackson Dart said that's the first time I can remember Giants fans being outnumbered by visitors. They lose 34-24. But the Niners, they're a factor in the NFC. Micahel Williams out for the year, torn ACL. Another player goes down with an injury there. Commanders play the Seahawks tonight. Jane Daniels is back. I like Seattle in that game. Seattle's really good. Cowboys play the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Cardinals have been a feisty team. They've lost a lot of close games, but they've been feisty. And the Cowboys are like Green Bay, very bipolar. So that's how things are shaking out across the NFC East. Some trade buzz here. Cam Wolfe reported on Saturday after the Eagles traded for Jaire Alexander that the Eagles are very interested in Dolphins pass rusher Jaelan Phillips. Dolphins have 2 wins. Their season's over. They could go full sale mode going into the deadline. Remember, Vic Fangio in 2023 coached up Jaelan Phillips. He played very well. And Cam Wolfe reported that Vic Fangio really likes Phillips. And if Vic really likes somebody, I think Howie Roseman is going to try to go get him. The Bengals lost today in a nutty, crazy game. One of the crazier games that you will see, where they were down big against Chicago. They come back, they take the lead, and then the Bears come back and they score a touchdown with 17 seconds left to win the game. Hail Mary for Joe Flacco fell short at the end of regulation. So the Bengals lose again, and according to reports this morning, they've been not willing to engage in trade talks with Trey Hendrickson. They've said he's not available. Now, according to reports, he is available. That's another player Howie could go after. And obviously, Philadelphia expected to be active. That's what I've heard. That's what everybody is thinking across the NFL. And look, Howie Roseman so far has made 8 trades since the start of training camp. Nothing could stop this man. He's a psycho, and I love it. I love him for it. John Metchie trade, Jakorian Bennett trade, Sam Howell trade, traded Darian Kinnard to Green Bay, traded for Fred Johnson, Tank Bigsby, Micahel Carter, Jaire Alexander. Is there going to be a 9th trade that Howie Roseman makes in order to improve this football team? He doesn't care if it's the 53rd person on the roster or if it's a top 10 player on the roster. He's going to make moves to try to improve this ball club. All right, just wanted to pass that good and big news along here on Philadelphia Eagles. Now, recording this show right now, it's about 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So locked in here for Bills-Chiefs. Bills up 27-13. 1:34 to go in the third. Good game tonight between the Seahawks and the Commanders. What a nutty, awesome, epic World Series that we saw last night, too, come to an end between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. Be back in the studio tomorrow. I want to do a Packers-Eagles preview, and I think that I can do that tomorrow on a Monday, the day before the NFL trade deadline, because Eagles are coming off their bye week. So be on the lookout for that. That's why you hit that subscribe button, and that's why you turn on your notifications. Therefore, anytime I push out a show, you will be notified.